The James Webb Space Telescope was eagerly awaited before its launch last year. However, now that the most powerful and most expensive ever telescope is in operation, the JWST is threatening to turn astronomy upside down with a single finding. The latest pictures from the JWST have proven the Big Bang Theory did not happen, sending the scientific community into a frenzy. What are these latest pictures from the JWST? How do the pictures prove the Big Bang Theory was wrong? Join us as we dive into how the James Webb Space Telescope finally proved the Big Bang Theory is wrong. How expensive can a telescope get? The James Webb Space Telescope set a new record in that regard in terms of work hours. The telescope guzzled millions of hours with development stretching over decades. In terms of money, no other telescope comes near at $10 billion. The JWST was also an engineering nightmare, as it involved designing it to fit the launch rocket. No rocket was large enough to contain it. So the engineers had to design it to fold in multiple places. The large heat shield was folded up and had to be unfurled as it journeyed to its permanent location. And that was not even the riskiest part of the telescope. The centerpiece, the reflecting mirror, also had to be broken into 18 different pieces and then folded. It was quite delicate, and both engineers and scientists that worked on it literally held their breath during the launch, due to the number of things that could go wrong. Compounding their worries was the fact that the JWST is literally beyond repair or maintenance. The telescope is located so far away, about 1 million miles, that it's impossible to send in a repair crew if anything goes wrong. There is no chance for refueling either, meaning the mission ends when the fuel runs out. Compared to the potential benefits, however, the risks with the JWST are more than worth it. It promises to widen our knowledge of the outer cosmos in a way that no other single scientific instrument has done as such. Since the telescope has been declared operational, scientists from all over the world have been queuing for their turn to use the powerful telescope to study space. However, none of them was prepared for one of the early nasty surprises the telescope had in store just weeks into its operation. The JWST has returned pictures that prove the Big Bang couldn't have happened. The Big Bang has become the gospel, where astronomy is concerned, thanks to the popularity of the hit show The Big Bang Theory. Many people explain the origin of the universe using the Big Bang. The Big Bang Theory traces its roots back to a priest-cum-astronomer named George Lemaitre. He had this huge idea in 1927, that a very long time ago, the universe started as just a single point. He said the universe stretched and expanded to get as big as it is now, that it could keep on stretching. Some years later, famous astronomer Edwin Hubble, whose space telescope was named after built upon Lemaitre's idea, Hubble, discovered that other galaxies were moving away from us, and that the farthest galaxies were moving faster than the ones close to us. The astronomer took this to mean the universe was still expanding, just like Lemaitre thought. Basically, if things were moving apart, it meant that long ago everything had been close together. You see, according to the Big Bang, when the universe began, it was just hot tiny particles mixed with light and energy. However, as everything expanded and took up more space, it cooled down the tiny particles, then grouped together and formed atoms, then those atoms grouped together, and over a long period of time the atoms came together to form the stars and galaxies that you see today. Those first stars created bigger atoms and groups of atoms, leading to more stars being born. At the same time, galaxies were crashing and grouping together in one chaotic cosmic show. As new stars were being born and dying, other objects like asteroids, comets, planets, and black holes formed. All this took place within a period of about 14 billion years. But what if the Big Bang didn't happen? While many scientists may not like to entertain this thought, as the theory has become the staple of modern astronomy, the JWST is unapologetic with its recent set of pictures. While the general public may be enthralled by the stunning images produced by the JWST, scientists are struggling to explain away their contradiction with the theory of the Big Bang. The problem with the pictures is that they show many galaxies that are surprisingly smooth, small, and old. But why exactly do galaxies that are smooth, small, and old contradicts the Big Bang theory? Let's take it from the too small angle. First, assuming the universe is expanding, a strange optical illusion has to exist. The fact is that galaxies or any other objects in space that occur naturally do not continue to look smaller and smaller with increasing distance. Actually, past a certain point they should start looking larger and larger. If you wonder why, it is because their light is supposed to have left them when they were closer to us. This is the opposite of what we observe in the ordinary non-expanding space, where objects look smaller in proportion to their distance. Scientists that have studied the images by the JWST can't hide the fact that they show smaller galaxies, even galaxies with greater luminosity and mass than the Milky Way. Galaxies are seen in these images to be 2 to 3 times smaller than in similar images observed with the Hubble Space Telescope. The new galaxies also have redshift s, which are also 2 to 3 times greater. An expanding universe is not expected to behave like this. The galaxies that the JWST shows are just the same size as the galaxy is near to us. If it is assumed that the universe is not expanding, and redshift is proportional to distance. However, the Big Bang implies these distant galaxies must be intrinsically extremely tiny to compensate for the hypothesized optical illusion. One galaxy, the GHZ2, is much more luminous than the Milky Way. However, its calculated radius is only 300 light-years, which is 150 times smaller than the radius of our Milky Way. Its surface brightness, or brightness per unit area, would be 600 times that of the brightest galaxy in the local universe. Its density would be tens of thousands of times that of the galaxies we see today. What about the galaxies being smooth? How does that affect the Big Bang theory? Well, for the Big Bang to be true, there must be the existence of tiny ultra-dense galaxies known as Mighty Mouse galaxies. JWST has made the problem far worse. The theory speculates that the tiny galaxies grow up into present-day galaxies by colliding with each other, which leads to merging, as they become more spread out. To illustrate this kind of merger, imagine a magical toy car that is a centimeter long, but weighs as much as an SUV. Further, imagine that it grows up into a real SUV by colliding with many other toy cars. This is where the images from the JWST become problematic for the Big Bang. Even though the illustration seems incredible to start with, you will expect to see at least some fender dents in the colliding cars. So Big Bang proponents expected to see galaxies bearing scars or serious rough edges from the impact they survived or went through, but to their surprise, the JWST revealed overwhelmingly smooth disks and neat spiral forms. There is no difference between their appearance and that of the galaxies of today. Data showed that the images contain smooth spiral galaxies that are about 10 times more than the theory had predicted. This challenges the idea of the merger of galaxies being common. In other words, this data attacks the merger theory. Now, what happens when galaxy mergers are few? The thing is, galaxies can't grow that big without the process of merging. This means larger galaxies have always been immense, and they were never tiny. It also means the optical illusion predicted from the expanding universe hypothesis does not exist, and no illusion means no expansion. The illusion is an unavoidable prediction from expansion. Let's look at the two old aspects. Next, this is actually similar, or the same as too many. The JWST has numerous filters that it uses to take its images in the infrared part of the spectrum. This allows astronomers to glimpse the colors of distant galaxies. Basically, it is what astronomers use to calculate the age of stars in these galaxies. Young, hot stars appear blue in color, and older, cooler stars are yellow or red. Now, the Big Bang theory implies the most distant galaxies in the JWST images are appearing as they were some 400 to 500 million years after the origin of the universe. However, some of these galaxies have exhibited stellar populations over 1 billion years old. Because nothing could have come from before the Big Bang. These galaxies prove that the Big Bang did not happen. Of course, we can't have a galaxy older than the Big Bang, so for the Big Bang theory to be true, the JWST should be seeing fewer and fewer galaxies. The more it looks back, eventually, it would stop seeing galaxies or enter the dark ages of the cosmos. But researchers are demonstrating that galaxies as massive as the Milky Way are common even a few 100 million years after the supposed Big Bang. The scientists claim the new JWST images show at least 100,000 times as many galaxies as theorists predicted at redshifts more than 10. And could so many large galaxies have been formed in so little time? Not likely at all, which means there was no Big Bang. Let's stop here and ask, what happens if the scientific establishment accepts that the Big Bang theory is flawed? There must then be a new way to explain the universe's beginnings. What will be the next theory? If the Big Bang actually never happened, let's hear from you. What you think of the validity of the Big Bang theory in the comments section below.